There are a lot of ways to make a MIG weld. You can do some cursive, you can whip it, you can push it, you can pull it, but which one's the best? Now, you all really seem to like the video we did a while back on stacking dimes on outside corner joints and showing those different techniques. On today's video, what I'm going to show you is a lot of arc shots on these lap joints here of doing those different techniques with the gas metal arc welding process. And then what we're going to do is take a cross-sectional etch of all of these and compare them and really just see for our own eyes what differences this really makes when it comes to the short circuit MIG process. I need to stress that a lot. We're not pulsing, we're not spraying, we're staying within the short circuit transfer, and we're working on 3/16 plate lap joints. That's the situation we're talking about. Prep is going to be extremely important, making sure that mill scale is out of the way anywhere a weld touches. So we want to make sure the top, the bottom, the edge of that plate is prepped for this lap joint, and we're going to tack them really close together next to each other so that we can really compare the push versus the pull with these different techniques or no motion at all. We're going to get down, get our machine set to that short circuit transfer, and we should be ready to rock and roll. All right, the first weld we're going to make is a nice drag. I would say most people would tell you that this is definitely not the way to do it. I don't really like it either. I think it leaves a lot to the imagination. But in a way, it's still the simplicity of it. It's kind of nice. We're going to let that coupon cool. So I've got another coupon here. We're going to keep that same drag idea, but this time we're going to do some patterns. I'm going to do my personal favorite, which is the cursive. I think this one looks the best. I would say this one gives you your best like stacked dime look. However, there's a lot of advice online that says, you know, pushing back on top of your puddle will prevent like consistent penetration and tying into one of those parent metals. But it looks good. We're gonna do our push with cursive on the other side, but we gotta let it cool. We got our third coupon here. I think this one is a pretty good technique when it comes to worrying about like penetration, like trying to get into the root. We're not gonna be doing a whole lot of motion other than coming forward out of our puddle, still with a drag angle, but we're kind of digging into the root. But a lot of people will still say pushing back on your puddle will lead to a lot of issues. Now we can let these coupons cool, and we're gonna just simply go the other way, and instead of drag it, we're gonna push it. While I'm sitting here taking a look at some of these welds, I gotta be a little bit more consistent if we're gonna have consistent results on the actual cross-sectional etch. One thing that you can rely on when it comes to consistency is today's video sponsor, which is Oshcut. If you don't know who Oshcut is, it's basically a service where you can send in your DXF files or your part files, and they'll laser cut and bend. I mean, the whole place, it's just a massive facility. There's no minimum orders, and in most cases, they can get your order out within either the same day or 2-day turnaround time. They promise that stuff. And all you have to do is send them over a file. They can even organize it and nest it for you so that there's no waste of material and you're not getting charged for anything extra. Our friends over there at Oshcut are offering a pretty sweet deal. You can check out the link down below in our description. I think these things are about cooled off now. I can hold my hand on it. That should be good enough to weld. Now let's move on to pushing all of these next welds with those same techniques. This first one with no motion whatsoever. I would say most people in this industry, they'll tell you that pushing a bead is the way to go. I like the way that you're able to see a lot easier. I don't like that you can see all those BBs though. A lot more buckshot for the short circuit process when you push. Solid weld. Now we'll move on to the cursive. And those same welders are going to tell you that pushing is good, but pushing back up against that weld is bad. Frowned upon. So we're going to put a little bit of those cursive in it. I'm personally enjoying it. Again, don't love the spatter, but I can see what I'm doing a lot better than the drag. Moving on to the final one, which is the whip. Just kind of pushing forward, making sure I hit some of that root a little bit better. I think I like this way of doing things. Some people call it stitch welding, which I always thought was silly. I gotta start doing some cursive again at the end of that. Regardless, we got all of the welds made. This one right here is our pull side. You can see that our weld size is maybe a little under. I'm feeling that I've got a little bit of undercut on that top edge, and that's just simply not pausing enough on that pushback portion. So that's a big deal when it comes to doing those motions, is making sure you're keeping up with the Joneses there, because if not, you're gonna get some underfill, which usually leads to undercut. This is what underfill would look like in the top edges of that toe on this just pull bead with no motion. Now there are some solid weld sizes in here that are really consistent, and that's where I'm going to end up taking the cross-sectional etch out of. If we flip these plates over and give a good look at the push side, I honestly think that these beads look a lot better. I think that was just maybe I got a little bit more practice, but the weld sizes are a lot more appropriate. You can hear and see there is a ton more spatter, whereas on our pull side we virtually have none. Now that we know what we're going to do, our cross-sectional etch, we'll try to cut out the most even weld sizes for both on each side of the plate. The tricky part about doing a cross-sectional etch is, in order to see that weld nugget right, you're going to need to take those deep scratches out. So the finer the grit that you can take that coupon to, all while maintaining a nice square and flat profile, is your best bet to getting a good etch when you're going to put a finish on it. Typically, if you do some grinding on the actual coupon itself, that should put enough heat into it that that etch can sit on there for a few moments, and then you can neutralize that with water and give it a good look-see. Now, like I said, doing a cross-sectional etch in my environment here isn't exactly easy. I will say that I can see them just fine, but I've had the hardest time trying to get you guys good shots and good lighting of the actual nuggets themselves. This side we have our pull and we have our push when it comes to the cursive ease. When it came down to the penetration profile of both, the pull seemed to have less penetration, more rounded to the root than say the push. It seemed to have like a more triangular nugget instead of a rounded nugget. And when it comes to the push and pull on our whip pattern here, I think that one left the most to the imagination when it comes to lack of penetration, just from the weld nuggets I've seen. And I have to agree, this one on this specific plate is a little tricky because the weld size are just a touch different, especially where I cut it. So it was a little bit smaller in weld size, which I could definitely agree that would affect the actual strength of it. But the fit up on it, having a little bit of a shear fit, doesn't give us a good visual on exactly how much penetration we have, because we have so much stuff in the way when it comes to that shear cut. But I will say the push and pull, like the whip pattern, was probably my least favorite after looking at the nuggets on these. Now when I look at the no motion whatsoever, I see some similar benefits to the cursive ease there. As long as we're staying in our puddle, I don't see why it would be so detrimental to do a little bit of a pattern. If you do work in a pattern, if you do make that mistake, it's just one easier way to have that weak spot in your weld itself. Whereas if you're just pushing or just pulling, you're kind of eliminating that extra variable to try to keep up with. But as far as the penetration profile for the pull versus the push, they're not too different, especially if I started to actually get the weld size the same on both sides of the push and the pull, at least for this small 3/16 plate. Now for instructional purposes, honestly, all of these techniques will get metal stuck together. It's when you really start breaking down the science of the actual process and the really proven strength every single time. Taking out some of those variables may make it a lot easier to maintain a quality compared to try to stacking dimes every time. But if you're really good at it, you're really good at it. Now I encourage you to take any information you find on the line or even here with a grain of salt, and you should always try to find an experiment for yourself. Because really, if you want to learn how to weld, there ain't really no trick to it but to do it. We'll see you on the next one.